Hello, Liz McGovern. How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah.
you perfect. Are you in
Okay. Hi,
Peru?
Greg.
Are you in
No,
Peru or
I'm in Crossville. I just got off the phone with Mike Bemis, actually.
well, good, good. How'd that
Yeah.
conversation go?
Very good. He's sending me the contracting and some training videos, and then we're talking again on Monday.
Okay. Well, we've got a small little crowd today. Jackie, I don't know you. How are you doing? Is
Jackie, can
Jackie?
you unmute?
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Liz. How you doing?
Good. I'm overdue for a call to you.
Okay, well, did you bring coffee?
You know what?
Hey,
I don't
hey,
drink coffee, and Judy, I don't drink coffee. My spouse said the coffee was really strong, but it was Colombian coffee. No, it was
oh,
Peruvian coffee.
sounds
Well, that would
good.
break my heart.
Well, uh, Liz, I've got a new person on here, and Liz, I think we've done about Jay sold 3 trusts yesterday.
Wonderful.
Yeah, um, 2 from Teleco and 1 from Pellissippi.
Oh, nice.
And I wrote $650,000 yesterday from a couple from Crossville, and there's so many of those people there like that. Hi, Jackie Hendricks. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well,
Thank you
I
so
don't
much.
know you. This is a small crowd today, so I might get a chance to get to know you. I'm Randy Baxter. I'm the president of the company. Um, where are
Hello,
you from?
Lynchburg.
Lynchburg, Virginia. Did you know I'm going to be in Lynchburg the third week of May, to do a workshop. Um, we're going to do four workshops up there with Mike Adams. He's one of our licensees up there, and you'd be more than welcome to attend if you wanted to. So I like your friend.
He's my boss, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Liz, so your trip to Peru is over, right?
My trip to Peru is over. Yep, we're here for the next couple of weeks until Vegas.
Okay. Okay. Then you're coming to Las Vegas for the boot camp.
I am. I'll be there for Tuesday for the training, and then Mike and I were talking about Wednesday and Thursday training.
Okay. Jackie, are you a licensed insurance agent?
Yes, sir.
How long you been in the business?
Mm, 13, 14 years now.
What made you think you might want to do estate planning?
It just is the natural outcrop of what I do.
And the products that you sell mostly are what?
Annuities, 401k rollovers,
Cool.
IULs, life insurance.
The have you now you're not a licensee with us yet, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And Greg, will you send her that Jackie, if you'd like to have it, we can send you our 30-day training program where you can just learn about us. That's free.
Yes, I'm actually, Mike made sure I got that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um, Mike.
Mike Adams.
Oh, oh, so you already know Mike Adams.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay,
then,
you're one of Mike's people. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I like Mike. I've known Mike several years. When you write annuities, um, are they mostly income annuities or cash value annuities or what?
it's just been,
Okay. Excuse me just a minute, Jackie. I need to say hello to Mike. Hey, Mike Lawfer, how you doing? He's muted. Listen, this meeting today, mostly I call it Randy Unplugged, and I just take questions. If you have any about what's going on. Mike knows me and Liz knows me, and Jackie, you don't know me, but you know Mike Adams and Michael Lawfer. Mike Adams is a Simplicity agent too, and Liz, you'll be a Simplicity agent. Jackie, are you doing business with Simplicity or? Okay, and you don't have to. Um, we do have a software system called Retire Now that sets the stage for our income annuity contracts. and that presentation and my presentation fit together like a hand in a glove. And my family tree asset positioning go-to first interview sets the stage to purchase an estate plan. And then the estate plan has to be properly funded. And in the funding process, and Mike, I don't, and Liz, you're not aware of this, but our quit claim deed sales in the month of April have just gone through the roof. And I think we're sitting real close to, I guess you could probably look it up, Greg, but I'm going to say maybe $3,000 to $5,000 just in quit claim revenue.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, everybody who buys a trust has to move they don't have to, but they're wise if they do move their real estate over to the end of the trust and put the real estate in the name of the trust. We were undercharging so bad. And then I realized that across the country, $350 is the going price. And we can help you learn how to do that. And Greg's daughter, Courtney, if you're in another state and need help, she can help you learn how to do that through DeedWorks.
Yeah.
And so we have Courtney in our company, and she's an attorney, and she's also one of our licensees, and she has bailed us out in so many questions, and she seems like she's getting more and more questions. So anyway, if you're thinking about becoming a licensee, the commission on, if you follow our pricing structure, and you don't have to, we have a $1,995 price for the full estate plan, in which the licensee makes $1,200. That's on the front end. But that does not count the fact that you can charge for the quitclaim deeds. And that does not count that there's many estate planning companies that sell trusts like in October, and they don't deliver it till March. And we have the capacity with our software, our attorney written software, that if we sell a trust on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, it's possible for the person to leave that same day at noon with a full completed notarized witness trust. But I don't like to do it that way. I like to ask them to come back next week just to take the pressure off and give me time to get it set up. But I do that because in the sales presentation, the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview, I teach all my licensees power phrases. Now, a power phrase is not a pushy thing. It's just get somebody to agree to take the path that you want to go on. So one of the power phrases that I use is, hey, I think you might benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. And that works very, very well. One of the other power phrases is, I want to explain to you how an estate plan works, and I'm going to do it in reverse because it's easier. Will that be okay? And that's, you know, and so I get permission from the prospect. Once I do that, I tell them how to get their trust funded, and that means we have to discuss real estate. We have to discuss what their long-term care plans are. We don't try to sell them a long-term care policy right then. We just want to know what their plans are, because that sets the stage. That sets the stage for mom and dad to have a conversation that they usually haven't had. But you know, what ties it all together though is the first thing you do, which is the family tree. And Jackie, I think everybody else here knows about the family tree presentation. But yesterday I was sitting with clients and they kept putting their finger in the holes in the family tree, and they were pointing people out in their family to me and telling me about them, and telling me why they would like to have that person represent them if they were in a coma and could not speak for themselves.
Jackie, if I could just interject here for a second, Randy.
Go ahead.
I'm not a producer yet for Randy, but I believe in the system And if you've been in the insurance business for a long time, it sounds like you're holistic and you're looking at the big picture. This is a great process to do that. And it really does kind of come in. It's very non-threatening. It's very conversational. And I met Randy through the delivery of my living trust, and he pulled out the paper and drew the circles. I actually took the paper back and said, here, let me do this. It'll just go faster. So I like to say I was a victim of Randy's simplicity, if I could use that term, but it's really, it's a great way to get information and go on to the next step, which is, really where more of the money for us is, but really we're just totally helping the client. That's one of the things. The money, I've always believed the money comes if you do the right things. And I think this approach, again, I haven't put it to practice yet, quite honestly, because I'm in a little bit different situation probably than most of the other reps, but I love the approach. I think it's a really good approach. So if you love the insurance business, you'll love this because it's a fact find in a really non-threatening, really conversational, really rational way. So I just wanted to throw that in, Randy.
Well, thank you, Liz. And there's two words that I use. They're called micro commitments. And if and Mike, when you start doing these things, you learn them too. A micro commitment is when someone during the conversation tells me something more than I'm asking. So when I say, tell me about your oldest son, how old is he? And they might say, well, he's 49 and he's married to a no good this and that with three ne'er-do-well kids. I mean, but all of a sudden that just tells me a little bit about the family and it's because they're starting to relax. They're starting to open up. Okay. So after we talk to them about their long-term care, then we talk to them about their income. And I broke this down and people look at me in amazement, but you always want to talk about income that's not tied to assets first. The guy closed yesterday that gave us $650,000 had $12,000 of income not tied to assets. And that was his military pension, his disability military pension, his Social Security, and a pension from where he worked. And then his wife had another $3,000 of Social Security and pension from Delta Airlines. So, they're sitting on about $15,000 a month on the income that's going to come in the rest of their lives. And it's not tied to their assets. I was telling Lisa Tuesday, and Mike, I hope you'll attend. I hope all of you will attend next Tuesday. But my topic of my class Tuesday at 3:00 Eastern Standard Time is going to be estate planning is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. And like I said, this week I've run into 4 millionaires and a couple of broke people, and the rest of them were middle class Americans. But it all led. They all got to me through the same approach, and I use the exact same approach every time I decide to approach somebody. I do it in my workshops. I do it when I'm talking one-to-one. I do it when I'm talking one-to-many. And there's no reason to change it. Hey, I think you might benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan, not the one I want to sell you, but the one you currently have. And when I did that with that couple and Liz, they were in Crossville. When I did that with them and found out something else I found out when I did the income for life illustration is he said, we've got a problem. And I said, well, you've got $15,000 a month and all the money you could ever want. How could you have a problem? And he said, well, when I die, all that pension money goes away. And he said, my wife will be sitting here with instead of a $15,000 a month income, she'll be sitting here with a $3,000 a month income. And then he said, we don't know what to do about that. Okay. As we talked a little further, since they had so much income that wasn't tied to assets, and they were in their 80s, they've been accumulating this money for 2 decades. And they haven't been spending it all each month. And it was to the tune of $1.4 million. And I said, well, why are you really worried? And he said, we're afraid we're going to run out of money. And I said, well, how much money do you need to live on? And I asked his wife that if your husband dies. And she said, I don't know. And I said, well, would you like to have at least what you're spending and not what you're putting in the bank if you didn't have to touch the rest of your savings? And she said, that's what I want. And it turned out to be $6,000 a month more. And then we looked at the assets that they had, and they already owned an income annuity contract from American Equity, bonus gold, that they bought 10 years ago with the income rider on it. And it was already going to generate $19,000 of that $6,000 a month she wanted. She wanted $72,000 extra. And she said, you know what? I didn't even know I had that $19,000 guaranteed for the rest of my life. I didn't pay attention when that was bought. And I said, well, let's look at what else you got. And they showed me 2 other annuities. One was a MIGA that was paying 2.4%. And the other one was a variable annuity that one year was worth 115, the next year it was worth 142, the next year it was worth 72, next year it was worth 120. And he said, we never can depend on that thing because we never know what it's going to be worth when we wake up in the morning. So when we combine those and made the phone calls to see what was in there, there was another $300,000 there, but actually it was about $350,000. So when we ran the illustrations on that $350,000, we found that we could get about another $19,000 or $20,000 if he died tomorrow. Well, because we were going to use the Emeritus product, he'd have to die in 30 days. Most of the income contracts, you have to wait a year to get your income on. But the Emeritus contract that's designed for the elderly, you only have a 30-day waiting period. And most agents don't know that. Most agents don't know their products. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you why I try to make it a point to know my products. Because I used to work for the New York Life Insurance Company. And they wouldn't let me sell anybody's products but theirs. And they had great products, but they didn't fit everybody. So in order to make a living, sometimes as a young insurance agent, I had to try to convince somebody to buy the stability of the company, even if the product was not a perfect fit. And one day, an elderly insurance agent, who was my friend, asked me to lunch. And I went to lunch with him, and he said, Randy, you're pretty good at this insurance stuff, aren't you? And I said, yeah. And he said, but you're stuck with a company that will fire you if you don't sell their products, right? And I went, yeah. And he said, you spend all your time trying to get somebody to buy the big blue box. He said, let me give you a little word of advice. And he said, Why don't you try to find out what people need and what people want and go get it for them? And I resigned from the New York Life Insurance Company 3 weeks later and opened my own company called Asset Positioning Services. And I have spent the last 30 years finding a way to get people to tell me their situation and their family dynamics and their income structure and their current health structure, and to give me ballpark estimates of their assets so that I could say one thing to them. And, you know, when I approached you about you might benefit from a conversation with me about your current estate plan. And I'm going to go through all these assets. And before I tell you what I'm about to do, I'm going to tell you one more power phrase I use. And Mike and Kim and everybody listen to this. It's important. I'm a firm believer that your current health situation is a primary factor in your investment decisions. Would you agree? And, you know, in the past 5 years, I think I've only had one person disagree, but he was so rich it didn't matter. So when they say yes, that they agree that that's true, then I use another power phrase that I want you to learn. I need to ask you some health questions. You don't have to answer them, but it'll help me be a better advisor if I understand your current health situation. Will that be okay? Mike, I hope you listen. You too, Miss Lee. You know, I took some scissors and I cut out the health questions on the simplified underwriting life insurance application, knockout questions, and made them part of my estate planning interview, page 2 at the bottom of the page. It looks like it grew there. It fit perfect. So, and you got to remember that, and I skipped the most important part about the income when we talk about gaps and cliffs and sure things and maybes. But we can talk about that another day. The health questions I'll ask mom and dad is, Dad, have you ever had a stroke? Have you ever had a heart attack? Have you ever had cancer, Parkinson's disease, or anything like that? And they may say no, 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 no. And then mom might answer the question, no, 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 yes. And when I talk about gaps and cliffs, and see how intimate we have gotten in the past 10 minutes, just talking about the family tree and the trust and the real estate and the long-term care and the income and the health questions. And you do all this in about a 20-minute period. And then I might look at mom and I might say, hey, mom, you're a little closer to the cliff than dad is, aren't you? Jackie, that made you turn around and look. Do you think that's a fair question? Powerful question, isn't it? Because don't you think we ought to make sure it's properly funded? And, you know, that's a question mom and dad have not been able to have with each other because they don't know how. And when they find somebody that can get them to make micro commitments a little bit at a time, they sort of loosen up. And after 15 or 20 minutes, they're relaxed enough to talk about their problem in front of each other. And they act like I'm not even there. That's when I know I've done a good job. And then I'll go, okay, now that we know this, you know, I'm going to be a better advisor. You don't have to answer any question I'm about to ask you, but I need sort of a ballpark of what you got on your assets. Will that be okay? And they'll say, yeah. So I'll say, about how much money you keep in the bank? How much do you have in the money market? Sometimes they say nothing. Sometimes they say $700,000 or $800,000. And I just write it down. I act like it doesn't matter. And then I'll ask them about their annuities, and some of them will already own annuities, and that's okay. Then I'll ask them about their life insurance, and they'll tell me about that. And then I'll ask them about their IRAs and their 401ks and what those amounts are. And remember now, we've already talked about their children. We've already talked about their current estate plan. It might be a will or trust or the government plan called probate. We've already talked about their real estate. We've already talked about their long-term care. We've already talked about their income, their gaps or cliffs in their income, their sure things and their maybes. I've got their amounts. Now listen to me. This is important. Jackie, Michael, Kim, you've done a pretty good job with your assets. Don't you think we need the proper paperwork? Wouldn't the proper paperwork be a good idea? And they go, yeah, we've been meaning to do that. And I'll look at them, I go, why don't we take care of that first before we do anything else? I mean, at least we'll have control over what's going on. Will that be okay? And they'll go, yeah. And I'll say, all I need to do is get a credit card from you for $19.95, and I can have this stuff ready for you 1 week from today. I've already got the information I need. I know because we did your family tree, I already know who you want as your power of attorney for healthcare, your power of attorney for finance, and your power of attorney for your executor in your will and your trustees and your trustors. And I'll tell them their names because I drew the family tree, and I'll say, you want Jackie as your power of attorney for healthcare. You want Michael as your power of attorney for finance. You want Kim for your for your executor and your trustees. And you want Greg for your beneficiary, right? And they'll go, yeah. And I'll go, well, now that I've got your money, don't say it that way. But anyway, now that I've got their money, I'll look at them and I'll go, if you could meet me on Friday afternoon at 2:00 Eastern Standard Time today, you could probably meet me at Friday afternoon at 2:00 next week, couldn't you? And they'll both check their calendars and they'll realize that they can. And then I've said, we'll just go ahead and I'll have the notary here and the witnesses here in the office, or I can come to your home if you want to supply the witnesses. And we'll get your estate plan enforced. But, just talking to you today, as I got to know you, I've sort of got some ideas for you. But before we meet again, I need to do some research and I need to run some numbers. When we meet to deliver your estate plan, would you like to see your numbers? And everybody says yes. And if they see that they have an income gap or an income cliff, those are the first numbers I show, Mike. Michael, when you go up and talk to Mike Bemis again, or Liz, when you talk to Mike Bemis again, be sure that you understand how to establish the proper numbers in the income gaps and the income cliffs, because that's where you make the back end sale. So you got the front end sale, which is the sale of the trust, and you got the back end sale, which is the sale of the proper funding of the trust. And it might be quit claim deeds. It might be long-term care plans. It might be guaranteed income for life. It might be the proper funding of those days in life when you can't do your activities of daily living. It might be just to take the risk out of your investment portfolio. Those are back-end sales. So let's see, how many sales have I made this week? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've done 5 sales this week. My staff in the office have done about 5 or 6 sales this week. Most of their sales have been front-end sales from workshops that I have taught them how to do. So that those 5 or 6 sales were for $1,200 commission each. And every one of those sales had a guaranteed appointment next week for the back end sale. Now, but my sales have been the biggest one was a back end funding sale. But today I had to do a 40-mile drive to wrap up a death claim. And one of my clients had passed away, and he had a $50,000 annuity contract, and we needed to decide what to do with it. So that's not a front end sale, and that's not even a back end sale. That's what I call a future sale. And I know that every estate plan that I've got is going to have a whole list, a whole potpourri of future sales. So I did that one death claim, and then I got in my car and I drove another 40 miles to my friend who has $1,400,000 with me. That was $1,300,000 with me. And he wanted $20,000 to have a party for his kids. He's got Parkinson's, and he's going downhill pretty quick. He just said, while I can, I just want to have a big party for my kids, and I want to entertain them and let them have anything they want. And he said, can you just do a quick review with me? And I said, sure. And while we were doing that, I found out that he had $100,000 that he was making 4% interest in the bank, and he was really happy with it. And I said, well, are you spending that money? He said, no, I'm just letting it roll over in the bank. And I said, well, you got 2 choices with your taxes. You can either pay your tax when you earn your money, or you can pay your tax when you spend it. And if you put that money into what's called a MIGA, a multi-year guaranteed annuity contract, it'll pay you 5.5 instead of 4. And you won't have to pay incomes on the 5.5 until you pull the money out. Right now, you're paying income tax on the money at the bank, whether you spend it or not, aren't you? And he went, yeah. Since he was a long-term client, that was not a front-end sale. That was not a back-end sale. It was another future sale. Does that make sense? All you got to do is stay in touch with people. So I think the total for the week was maybe a little over $1 million. And there wasn't not one competitor. I didn't have to wrestle one stockbroker. I didn't have to wrestle another insurance agent, because other insurance agents don't know how to do this, except the ones that let me train them. Greg, what's the deal on training? $49.95 monthly or $495 annual?
Yeah, that's what it is.
But they get a lot more than just that, don't they?
Yeah, they get access to our entire video training library. They get the fast track. They get access to the staff whenever they need it. Whenever they have questions for us, they get access to you, Randy, on a scheduled basis when they need you, or they've got questions.
And we'll help you close the case. We'll help you design the case. We'll even introduce you to the consultants that know the products inside out from other companies and I'll tell you, if you ask me, I'll tell you who's got the best product for a situation, because I have to know.
Yeah.
But since I don't know everything, and I'm not going to say I don't know anything, but I will say I don't know everything. I like to have consultants, and I'll call them and I'll say, this is a situation that I have. Now, remember what I said to the client, though? I said, I have some ideas for you, but I need to do some research and I need to run some numbers. Well, when they leave, I'll get on the phone and I'll call Mike Bemis or whoever I'm going to call. And I'll say, Mike, I've got a an 84-year-old man who had a stomach aneurysm a couple years ago, and his 82-year-old wife, and they need $60,000 worth of income, but they've already got 19,000 of it. So I need to know, how much money do we need to set aside today that guarantees, if her husband dies, and he will, an extra $40,000 income. Excuse me, I got hiccups. But you know why I knew it was $40,000? The family tree asset positioning go-to first interview, the micro commitments that I lead people through, the bonding process that gets them to trust me enough to open up and talk to me, and the fact that they know that finally someone can lead them through a conversation that they don't know how to have with each other. And that's, that's what I do. And I tell people, Mike, you've heard me say it before, and Miss Lee, you probably too, but and Liz, I know you've heard it, but I only teach people what I know, and I only teach people what I do. That's it. And I'll show you how to do it. And if you tell me you want to make $10,000 a month, I'll show you how to do that using my system. If you want to make $20,000 a month, I'll show you how to do that with my system. And it's all mathematical. We can do it one-to-one, where you approach your own clients or people who've done business with you in the past. We can do it one-to-one with people who have not done business with you in the past. Or we can do one-to-many with people who have not done business with you in the past, and make it so entertaining that when they leave, they make an appointment to come in and hear the exact same thing one-on-one that they just heard one-to-many.
Yeah.
And the ones that come in are the ones with problems. And then they show up at the workshop secret, and nobody knows what the trouble is. And we don't get them to talk about the problem, but they make their appointment because maybe they have an autistic child. Maybe they have a husband who's just developed an illness that limits their lives. Maybe they just inherited a bunch of money and don't know what to do with it. And so they all come to the workshop with a different reason. We call it wheel awareness. And Jackie, that's what we're going to do up there with Mike. Looks like I'm going to get to meet you, because I bet you're there. You're going to be there. But what happens if we have, we use what's Jeff's last name? Greg Mills, Jeff Mills.
Jeff Mills, yeah.
Yeah. He's got a marketing program for $3,500. He will fill up 4 workshops for you. And our workshops average 20 to 30 people. Sometimes there's less. I don't think we've ever had more than 35. But if you have 4 workshops in a couple of days, that means you've just talked to 140 people. And out of those 140 people, I promise you these numbers are correct. These 140 people that show up, 70 of them will say they don't have an estate plan. But they do. It's called probate court. The other 70 either have a will or a trust. And 80% of those 70, which is 56 of those people, will not understand what they have. And in most cases, it will not be properly funded. I had lunch with another licensee the other day, and we met a lady, just a sweet, funny lady. And she said, "Oh, I've had my trust for 7 years." And I said, "Well, that's great. Let's talk about it. How long have you had your house in the trust?" And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, you put your house in your trust, didn't you?" And she said, "No, I think it was all taken care of when we did it." And I said, "Well, I don't think so. Did your attorney do a quitclaim deed?" And she said, "What's that?" So this lady in our appointment yesterday had a trust for 7 years totally empty. And I said, did you buy that trust to stay out of probate court? And she said, yeah. I said, well, you're going to probate court, lady. So anyway, Tuesday, if you want to attend the class, it's at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if I could just convince people to understand that it doesn't matter. You don't need to find 10 rich people. You need to find 10 people who you think would benefit from a conversation with you about their estate plan. And you need to guarantee them that if they have that conversation with you about their estate plan, they will probably learn something in which they were not aware. I don't know what it is. Have the conversation with me and let's find out. And that will lead you into one of the most in-depth conversations in the first 15 minutes with a client, whether you know them or not. And they will be so amazed at your skill and your ability to talk to them. A lot of times I look at people and Jackie, again, you don't know me, but I'll do that presentation for other licensees and I'll look at them and go, Jackie, you see how much information I got out of you in 10 minutes? I know you spilled the beans on your family. You spilled the beans on your estate plan. You told me your whole story and usually it shouldn't take you more than 35 minutes. I'm looking at the clock down here. We started a little bit late, so it's about 35 or 40 minutes. So do you have any questions about that? Do any of you here have any questions about what we try to do and why? Last month we did a record across the United States in the number of estate plans that we wrote. We have almost broken that record already this month.
I'm looking forward to the training. That's going to be good.
Both trainings, Liz, what I'll be teaching, I feel like I'm the warm-up band for Free Dog Night next week.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I'm going to, what they teach Simplicity is how to make the income sale. And I sat through those meetings for 7 years. And I kept thinking, how to make the income sale, how to make the income sale. It doesn't matter if you know how to make the income sale if you don't know how to get in front of somebody to present it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So that's why I wrote the presentation. The family tree asset positioning, go-to first interview leads you to the back-end income sale, because to properly fund an estate plan, you have to have an income discussion, or you've let your clients down and they don't even know it if you don't have it, but they'll have it with you. Any questions?
None here.
Do what?
No, I said no, none here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, then that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've had a hard day. It looks to me like it's getting ready to rain here in Knoxville. And I think if it'll just rain hard enough, I'll be asleep in about 10 minutes with a good long nap before Friday evening comes. So if you want me, I'm not grandfather clock today. I'm going to, those of you who know who grandfather clock is. Jackie, do you know who grandfather clock is?
Nope,
No.
no.
You don't know
Nope.
Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Green Jeans?
Well, all right, I do know them.
Okay.
Grandfather clock was always
Now that you
there.
say it, Now that you say it, now I remember.
Okay,
And
okay.
grandfather clock right in the middle of a conversation would just go to sleep.
Mm.
Anyway, it's been a hard
Yeah.
week for me, a busy week. Not a hard week. It's been a great week. I've changed some lives. I've helped some agents.
Yeah, sounds like you've had a very productive week. I'm glad to
Well,
hear that the workshops are working.
well, Liz, I have a week like that every week.
Mm.
And you know what
Can't
it's
say that
called?
yet.
Oh, let me tell you what it's called, and you all remember this. It's called momentum,
Hmm.
and you have to build it. And there's a dangerous point about momentum that you have to be careful about. You get so good that you don't have spare time. Okay, so you want to control your momentum. And the way you control it is something we call the cycle of success, right, Greg?
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
important.
and if you want to have a conversation with Greg about that, and he'll teach you the basics on it. There's a video on it on my website, and um, I record every one of our classes and put them on our website, so you can go back and look at every class that we've done at randallbaxter.com and do it at your leisure. And Lisa does a real good job of getting them up on time and fixing them when I mess them up. And so, I want you to be there. Mike, you've hardly said a word. Say something. Say hello. Hello,
Well,
Michael.
hey, I think I got it unmuted.
You're unmuted.
All
Hey,
right, Michael Adams.
Greg, I
Two
just
Michaels
found
here.
out I have to use the same link from last week. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, come.
That's
I
okay.
was looking
That's
for another
quite all.
email. Hey, Jackie, good to see you.
Good to
Yeah.
see you too, Mike.
Yeah, I went by and checked the library out today. They've got a good room there. Everything's set up for May the 22nd and 23rd for our workshops, Randall.
Okay. Have we paid Jeff, or do you want me to pay him, or
No, I went ahead and paid them. You should have gotten my email. They didn't want to
Okay.
use your nonprofit, so I went ahead and paid that part too.
Okay. All right. That's okay.
So we're set up.
All right. So I'm going to come up there and help you all through 4 workshops, teach you how to do it. I might do the first 2, and then I might let you try 2.
I'd be glad to.
Okay.
Yeah, appreciate you coming. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, it's kind of like Johnny Appleseed. You go out and plant the apple seeds and leave, and you come back the next year and you find a full-grown tree full of apples.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's
What
what I'm
time are
looking
you
to do.
planning the workshops to be?
I don't know the answer to
Yeah.
that.
I think it's 1 to 3:30 and then 5 to 7:30 both days, May 22nd. Jackie, I'll shoot you an email, but May 22nd and May 23rd.
All right, I already had it blocked out on my calendar, but I wanted the times.
Okay. And
Okay.
and here's what'll happen. Within a week, you'll start having appointments.
That's
And
what I'm
and
looking for.
and you want to do the front end sale, not the back end sale. You do the back end sale in week 2.
Hey, if you got a minute, let me show. I was over going through the software I had input this 2-star generals that I did the state plan on FED a couple of weeks ago, and
Okay.
put all this information in the software. I going over that with him. He was having air conditioning, so he had a HVAC man come in, and I guess he told him what we were doing, and the HVAC guy gave me his card. He said, "I need one of those."
Everybody, listen, the
Yeah.
market is wide open. 90% of people in the United States of America don't even know that they want to talk to you, but they will agree if you approach them correctly.
One more quick thing. When I went by to check the library, the lady who was walking me through the room, showing me where everything was at, because she knew it was, will awareness, estate planning. She said, "I am amazed at how many people." She said, "I just went through this with my own grandmother." So she had nothing in place, and it was nightmares for the family because nothing was in place. So the need is so great.
It is. And the back end sales are so big.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, folks. Listen, I'm done unless you have me. I'll give you another 10 or 15 seconds, but after that, I'm out of here.
Let's give Randy a break.
Yeah. Well, listen, I enjoyed talking to you. I like Friday afternoons. They're fun. But if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to sign off and I'll let you talk to them, Greg, if they have questions for you.
Okay,
So,
if they have questions, I'll give my best shot.
all right. Grandfather clock's gone. See ya.
Mm.
Bye, Randy.
Bye-bye.